Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to another EverQuest lore video. The last video I did was on the distinctions between the froglocks, of Antonica and Gnolls. And it made me think of a very interesting lore narrative pertaining to a race of humanoids that we are all familiar with. That is the Gnolls. We see the Gnolls in various places throughout EverQuest. However, I'm gonna stick to a particular group of Gnolls that I want to kind of shine light on because it's a very fascinating and age-old tale for those of us who've played since 99, 2000, 2001, etc. It will be zones we have been familiar with and groups of Gnolls that we have encountered and come across undoubtedly in our travels throughout Norath. So I want to start with discussing the Splitpaw Gnolls. When we first encounter Splitpaw, and just to be specific, Splitpaw is a mid-level dungeon, let's say late 20s, maybe you can go into late 30s in this zone. It's located in the Karanas, South Karana to be specific, right off of Lake Raftir. And this zone is inhabited by hostile Gnolls. So let's first take a look at what the EverQuest monster manual, which is the screen we're looking at now. Let's take a look at the EverQuest monster manual and its description of the Gnolls. Zoom in a little bit so you guys could read along. Maybe a little more. Okay, here we go. Description. Resembling a cross between humans and canines, Gnolls are vicious opportunists that readily attack anyone perceived as a weaker opponent. A typical Gnoll stands somewhat taller than a human, nearly 7 feet in height, with a dark furred body, large wolf-like ears, and feral eyes. It will kill and eat anything and anyone it encounters if it thinks it can win. Gnolls abound in Norath, plaguing travelers in almost every area. Their scouts and runners patrol the countryside in search of easy prey. The Blackburrow lair in the Gnolls Hills is one of the most fecund breeding grounds. This complex of tunnels and caverns makes a good base of operations into the surrounding countryside, and it offers considerable protection against raiders. Gnoll society is tribal, and attacking one member of the tribe is sure to bring down the wrath of the others on those responsible. Gnolls favor the warrior class, but shamans are also common, serving as soothsayers and spiritual leaders of the tribe. So the only real mention of the Blackburrow Gnolls in this particular document is, let me see if I can find it really quickly. Was it up? Here we go. We see just the stats, regarding the Blackburrow Gnolls, and we have the Snow Fang. We're not going to get into them. Or the Snow Gnolls that we find in Vilius. It's not related to the narrative that I want to discuss today. So let's see, there you go, the Snow Fang Gnolls right there. We're not going to read about them. But I wanted to actually take a look really quickly to what the EverQuest Kunark Prima strategy guide has to say about the zone known as Paw or Splitpaw. Paw was once a great colony of the Splitpaw Gnolls and was within this lifetime taken over by an opposing clan. Clan Torn-Ear has complete control over the dungeon, and only the shattered souls of the Splitpaw clan remain, enslaved or imprisoned. Although it was once an area safe for the young to travel, now only the experienced may enter the lair with a hope of survival, and only the toughest can go to the lowest depths to challenge the leaders of the clan Torn-Ear. Very interesting. So This is something that I stumbled across doing research for various different things in EverQuest, but fascinating to note that the gnolls that are inhabiting Splitpaw, which have these, from my recollection, these funny names, right, that didn't really indicate to me Splitpaw, and I wondered about that, but there was nothing really in game that I saw that let me know particularly this particular narrative, which is that the original inhabitants were a clan of gnolls known as the Splitpaw, and they were essentially conquered, and their territory, known as Splitpaw, was taken over by this clan Tornir. Excuse me. So now let's take a look back at the monster manual to read about clan Tornir. In the heart of the plains of Karana, a clan of gnolls has succeeded in uniting most of the gnoll tribes that roam the Karanas, and in killing or exiling those gnolls who would not join them. So this is presumably, the gnolls that wouldn't join would presumably be the Splitpaw, or at least a group of gnolls, or the primary group, because they become headquartered in their former lair. Continuing. From their underground warren of Splitpaw, this new group, Clan Tornir, rules the growing gnoll kingdom. The ruling classes of Clan Tornir are the Val, and under them, Mal, and then Mas. Now we see Val, Mal, and Mas all throughout Splitpaw. And now this particular excerpt explains who they are. They're a group of gnollish tribes that were united together and formed what we know as Clan Tornir. Continuing. Each individual of these ruling classes is given a further title by his or her function. The Tesh, who serve as soldiers, generals, and guards. The Leth, who serve as spies and scouts. The Nish, who are the shamanistic spiritual leaders of the clan, and the Rosh, who pursue any arcane study that will lend the clan power, usually preferring the dark art of necromancy. So there we have it. Splitpaw is actually under occupation by a foreign tribes of gnolls, and the actual Splitpaw themselves. What happened to them? Well, to get more into that, we're going to actually look at in-game sources. And I'm going to pretty much stick to P99 wiki just because it keeps the classic stuff isolated from the newer content or any revamps. Sorry about that. Any revamps, because as we learn, Splitpaw becomes Infected Paw and no longer the zone we know as Splitpaw as the game progresses. For those of us that are on TLPs, shout out to all my people on Tormax. I'm not personally on Tormax. I'm on Teak. Shout out to all the people out there on Teak, experiencing EverQuest in a classic setting. Also, shout out to those on Quorum as well. And, of course, all of us that come from P99 and whatnot. But I digress. Let us continue. When we actually look at Splitpaw, let's take a look. Wait, no. Oh, man, I didn't mean to close that. Well, let's first reopen that because I believe that was the Splitpaw commander. But that kind of foreshadows a little bit for those of us reading the screen. I have a lot of tabs open. Okay, here we go. So this is what the P99 wiki has to say about Splitpaw. Splitpaw lair. Formerly Infected Paw. Sorry about that. I'll be honest with you, I probably won't be doing any editing, so bear with me. Splitpaw lair, formerly Infected Paw, used to be the home of the Splitpaw clan of gnolls. Now their tribal home has been overrun by another, more powerful clan of gnolls. Intent on their own political agenda, who use the Splitpaw clan any way that they can. Splitpaw is the site where, in Gnoll legend, their god set his foot upon the earth, and the surface marking his footprint. Nobody knows if this is true, but hunters in South Carolina know the 3 talons rising from the ground that mark the entrance to the lair. So there's some important things to note there. They talk about them being overrun by a more powerful clan of gnolls. Now we know the name of that more powerful clan of gnolls, Clan Tornier. Right? They also talk about the Splitpaw clan members being used, so we'll take a look at that, or being under their control within Splitpaw. But also a Gnollish legend about their god setting foot upon the earth. Now, I do have a series that I began but have not completed regarding the history and creation of Norath, but this is related to that. Braille Cerulus is the deity they're referring to. The Gnolls claim that they are creations of Braille, much to the dismay of the gnomes and dwarves of Fadewar. All right, well, moving on. So here's where things get sort of complicated. When we look at the factions regarding the Maul, the Val, etc., we'll see that the faction they're associated with, you'll see there's a negative 30 here, indicating you would lose 30 faction for killing this NPC. It's relating the Maul, the Val, all of them to Splitpaw clan. So I want to just keep that in mind and kind of explain what I think is going on here. There is a complex dynamic going on where there are some Splitpaw gnolls who were absorbed into the Torn Ear clan. And in the game, they're referred to under the same faction, Splitpaw clan, as other Splitpaw gnolls who were absolutely victims of the Splitpaw clan. And we'll take a look at some of these NPCs to make the case. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the mobs that are there. Okay, we have Corrupt Splitpaw. Okay, so he carries the name Splitpaw. All right, and if you kill him, you will lose faction with the Splitpaw clan for killing him. Okay. He is for the Hollow Skull quest, but I won't get into that. It doesn't really have any lore pertaining to the Splitpaw. They just want you to kill him. Moving on, we have a one-eyed gnoll, right? And he's just, I'm presuming he's another member of the Splitpaw clan, the original Splitpaw clan. He's by himself. He only has one eye. Okay. Then we have the hiding gnoll. And we could find hiding gnolls in the water cavern of Splitpaw. And we're going to read here, although they give a negative faction hit when killed, they seem to con indifferent to you no matter your faction level. Okay, so they're inside of Splitpaw. What are they hiding from? They're inside their lair. Clearly, this hiding gnoll has to be one of the original Splitpaw members hiding within the lair. Either they had been hidden since the siege of Splitpaw, or that these hiding gnolls, are hiding because they recently escaped bondage from their conquerors, persecutors. Okay. All right, we take a look at that already. Then we have a gnoll prisoner. It says here in the description that they're not KOS, they're not kill on sight, but does social with other gnoll prisoners, meaning that if you attack a gnoll prisoner, the other gnoll prisoners within aggro range will also assist that gnoll prisoner and try to attack you. Not try, will attack you. And so they're not going to attack you seeing you because A, they're prisoners, so they're not in control of their own will or actions. And B, as we read, the Splitpaw wasn't as dangerous of a place until these other tribes of gnolls had taken over. So he may be of the less hostile, less dangerous variety of the Splitpaw gnolls that we find in the clan Splitpaw. And we read about the alliance. One second. We read about the alliance between the Splitpaw gnolls and the saber-toothed gnolls of Blackburrow, right? I think I may need to. Well, you know what? We won't revisit that one. I closed it out by accident. We'll just leave it closed. There's an alliance between the Splitpaw gnolls and the Blackburrow gnolls. Actually, I think it's mentioned. I think it's mentioned. There we go. The Splitpaw gnolls are aligned with the saber-tooths of Blackburrow. Okay, so we see that in the P99 wiki, but we also see that in the lore. But we not only also see that in the lore, we see it in game. All right, so this is Blackburrow here, right? Blackburrow is the home of the Blackburrow clan of gnolls. It is something of a combination between underground dungeon and above ground hunting area, and represents the only pathway to get from Everfrost and the home of the barbarians to Kinos Hills and lands beyond. The overall structure of Blackburrow consists of 2 entrances and a ring with a deep hole in the middle. There are multiple tunnels to the lower levels where higher level gnolls can be found. Okay. What I wanted to show you in Blackburrow is that the Splitpaw gnolls, actually those that escaped the original gnolls of Splitpaw clan, some of them sought sanctuary in Blackburrow. And how do we know this? Well, we have a Splitpaw commander. All right, see this right there, Zone Blackburrow. The Splitpaw commander has a placeholder that's an elite gnoll guard. And also the commander, regular commander spawns. Let's see if I have him. Let's actually, just in case we don't have him open, we'll just open right here. All right. So these 2 mobs spawn under the same cycle, I believe. If not, no, well, they're saying they can be found on location. Don't quote me on that. But this mob also spawns. At least on Teak, I recall him spawning in the same spot as the Splitpaw gnoll commander. All right, so this is a Blackburrow gnoll. We see there's a different model for this gnoll, right? And if you kill the if you kill the regular gnoll commander, an actual Blackburrow gnoll, saber-toothed gnoll of the Blackburrow clan, you will lose faction between the Splitpaw clan and saber-tooths of Blackburrow, right? So we know that there's an alliance there because if you kill him, who's not a Splitpaw, you'll anger the Splitpaw and the Blackburrow gnolls, right? And conversely, and like if you kill the Splitpaw commander, you will have faction hits, negative faction hits between the Blackburrow clan as well. So there is an alliance there in the coding regarding factions in the game. You have Lord Elnub. All right, so this is a Lord being a noble title. And we find him in Blackburrow. He's actually the highest level mob in the zone. We'll call him the boss of the zone. He's level 21 to 23. And he's an SK, so he does harm touch and is very devastating. Somebody talked about their level 19 druid taking a 231 HT. Not very liking. But Lord Elnub, he is also in the same liking with the Splitpaw Blackburrow faction hits. Okay, so we can see that alliance there. But notice the model for Lord Elnub is not a Blackburrow gnoll, it's a Splitpaw gnoll. So we found a Splitpaw commander. We have Lord Elnub, who would probably be higher ranking, right? Presumably than the commander. He must be of noble lineage of the Splitpaw. And he was probably evacuated prior to the complete siege of their former domain. All right, we already looked at the Splitpaw commander. I actually have that one open, so we'll close that one. All right, and here we have, this is one of the most crucial pieces of circumstantial evidence. It says his name is Refugee Splitpaw. And a refugee is somebody who had a homeland and their homeland was taken over, or they're besieged by war. Basically, they can't stay where they were and they have to migrate somewhere else, and they're seeking refuge. They're seeking sanctuary. They're seeking safety in another jurisdiction or another region. All right, so we have the refugee Splitpaw Gnolls residing in Blackburrow. Okay. So I believe that was all I really wanted to kind of tie in together relating to the Gnolls of Splitpaw and the Gnolls of Blackburrow. So to surmise, the Gnolls of Splitpaw were taken over by Clan Tornir, which are the Gnolls that we come in contact with when we're playing EverQuest on launch day 1999. The Splitpaw Gnolls have already been conquered, and the Splitpaw Gnolls that we find are either wounded, like the one-eyed Gnoll, hiding, or prisoners within Splitpaw. Or they have been amalgamated and absorbed into the clans that combined to make the Torn Ear clan. Am I saying the name right? Because I don't, I'm Clan Torn Ear, sorry. And so that's what happens to the Gnolls that remained in Splitpaw. And then the Splitpaw Gnolls, you'll see. Actually, this will actually be a good time to take a look at that too. Let's take a look at let's see here, South Karana, really quickly. And if we control find, all right. So we see that there's Splitpaw Gnolls outside in South Karana. Okay. We know that the Mash, the Mal, the Val, we know that they're outside too as well. Directly outside of Splitpaw is a good camp. See right here, 6 is a good camp to get single pulls before you enter into Splitpaw. Right? But let's see here. So we see some Splitpaw. We see Splitpaw Gnoll right there, level 5. We see some Splitpaw in South Karana as well. Right? So some of them escaped into South Karana and are basically living in the wild, free of the control of Clan Tornir, but no longer able to inhabit their homeland. And then some were able to escape as refugees under the leadership of Lord Elnub and the Splitpaw Commander and various other Splitpaw Gnolls that are of the warrior class that protected them and escorted them to Blackburrow, where they get absorbed with the Blackburrow clan. And who knows what they're plotting? Maybe they're plotting and planning to retake Splitpaw clan. But there was that issue with the Splitpaw clan in terms of, how to make sense of, you killing the Ishva Mal and you losing Splitpaw clan faction, knowing that this is the essentially like the leader of the Gnolls who took over Splitpaw clan. And so very fascinating stuff. But like I said, my theory to connect that is some of the Splitpaw clan stayed with them and absorbed in, and some didn't. But in all reality, in my opinion, it should be 2 separate factions. But that would kind of give away the lore immediately. Maybe they should have. That's for you to decide. Maybe you can put that in the comment section below. So I would be remiss in our discussion of the Gnolls of Splitpaw, the Verash Mal included, to not cite some other in-game sources, particularly text that we find. There are, sometimes we find scrolls or books within the world, and if you right-click them in your inventory, there's text that you can read. And here are 5 such items within the canon of EverQuest, within the actual game itself, which is the highest canon source when it comes to lore. And so I'm going to read the history of the Verashmal, starting with a tan Splitpaw skin. Fear not, my brethren. We have taken this home, and we shall make it our own. Use what resources we have to establish ourselves here. Care not about the Teth, for they are our inferiors. Use their goods, use their services, and use their skins if need be. In time we shall feel our former glory. Ishk Kal Habra. All right, so these items drop within Splitpaw layer, and this tan Splitpaw skin is referring to the conquest of Splitpaw from the original Splitpaw Gnolls. So we have an in-game item that lets us know that the people who are, or the Gnolls that are in control here, are not the original Gnolls, and they're going to use the resources and set up shop here, set up their base, their base of operations. So volume 1 of the history of the Verashmal. We were forged from the earth by the hands of our Lord Brel Cerulus. He molded us into an image that suited him, and we were glad. Such is our role, to learn and expand and be one with the underworld. We were born to know many things, and we shall. Our Lord told us that we suffered not the curse of the others, and for this we are grateful. So the curse of the others, that's going to be a lore story for another day. All right, the underworld, that's the underfoot. All right, Brel Cerulus' domain. So Brel Cerulus, according to the history of the Gnolls themselves, is the creator of the Gnolls race. We do have a video series that's currently being worked upon regarding the history of Norath, including the creation of the races and whatnot. And so that origin of the other races who claim to be creations of Brel, such as the kobolds, etc., will be illuminated in further detail. Moving on to Volume 2, History of the Verashmal. Our forefathers gave us many tasks to better us. We learned the way of the sword and the way of magics. Each we proved victorious and for a time quite prosperous. In time we grew to be a large race, riddled with a ruthless empire that spanned many a mile. Our worth was broken down into a caste system, and many were made slaves. So we have that caste system again, like we had in the Froglock video. Okay, Volume 3. The Verashmal were then ruled by the Ishvamal. All right, so there's an NPC necromancer that we've seen earlier in the P99 wiki that is basically the head or main ruler of the Verashmal. The Verashmal were then ruled by the Ishvamal, a hard and stern ruler. In the old tongue, Ishva, means supreme, and Mal means ruler. Beneath the Ishva, there were the Rosh, the Teshk, the caster and warrior caste. Above the Rosh and the Teshk were the Nishk, the spiritual leaders of the Verashmal. Shortly after the abolition of the old ways in the Ishva, the Nishval formed a council of 9, which still rule to this day. Now, this is very important to note because there is no council of 9, to my knowledge, within Splitpaw. Under the Val, Mal, or any of the Gnolls within Splitpaw. But we do find the Ishvamal, which was supposed to have been abolished. So Volume 4 kind of foreshadows what comes to pass. Right? Volume 4. The Council of 9 has ruled us faithfully for many a year now. We find peace in our lives and vow not to harm another. All right, so the Gnolls are actually peaceful under this Council of 9. They're not violent like the Verashmal we encounter inside Splitpaw. Continuing. There are still many factions that want to return to the old ways, but the current council has opposed those ideas when in chamber. All right, so we see that the Gnolls are not all on one accord, right? So this could also explain to some degree why, if you kill certain mobs within Splitpaw, you're going to lose Splitpaw faction, even though these are conquerors of the Splitpaw clan, and why I still don't have an answer as to why there's not a faction specifically for these Gnolls, but continuing on. They, meaning the Council of Nine, they suspect at this time that there may be someone working within the council to be working with the old Ishva to return the Veras to the old ways. This must not happen at all costs. So to my understanding, this did happen. Okay, so but this gives us some context to understanding the socio-political structure of the Gnolls inhabiting Splitpaw currently within game. Anyway, that's all I got on this one. Please share your thoughts on the subject matter, your first encounters with Gnolls within Blackburrow, further encounters with Gnolls in Splitpaw, what you made of it. If there's anything you learned in this video, definitely, consider subscribing, dropping a like. Anyway, stay frosty, adventures. Catch you in the next one. Peace.